ᱟᱯᱮ ᱯᱮ ᱪᱟᱞᱟᱣ ᱞᱮᱱᱠᱷᱟᱱ ᱟᱞᱮ ᱞᱟᱡᱟᱣ ᱞᱮ ᱵᱩᱡᱷᱟᱹᱣᱟ ᱢᱟᱱᱮ ᱠᱚ ᱞᱟᱹᱭ ᱟᱞᱮᱭᱟ ᱥᱮ ᱟᱹᱛᱩ ᱠᱚᱲᱟ ᱠᱚ ᱞᱟᱹᱭᱟ ᱢᱟ ᱧᱮᱞ ᱠᱚ ᱪᱮᱛᱟᱱ ᱴᱚᱞᱟ ᱠᱩᱲᱤ ᱠᱚᱫᱚ ᱵᱚᱭᱚᱥ ᱟᱹᱣᱨᱤᱭᱟᱜ
ᱟᱪᱪᱷᱟ ᱞᱟᱛᱟᱨ ᱴᱚᱞᱟ ᱠᱩᱲᱤ ᱫᱚ ᱡᱚᱛᱚ ᱠᱚ ᱡᱟᱶᱟᱭ ᱠᱟᱱᱟ?
ᱜᱮᱭᱟ ᱠᱚ ᱟᱞᱮ ᱫᱚ
What is art? When we fabricate art, what do we do? What do we do when we paint a painting, a wall in a house, when we prepare a sound installation, compose a piece of music, write a poem, edit a video, rehearse a dance show or a theater performance? And once the painting, installation, video, show, music, poem is fabricated, when we look at, listen to, read it, what do we do? Last year, I showed my grandmother the magazine we published. My grandmother lives alone in a village in southwest of France. She is 95 years old. When she lived through the magazine, she suddenly said, "Look, that is art." My grandmother had just seen the visual work of an Indian and a French artist. There were other visual works in the magazine, but my grandmother said nothing about them. She only spoke about art for those two. Why? One of these works showed a woman on the left, a rectangle with curved lines on the right. The woman was drawn in yellow ochre, and the lines were in black. In another of these works, we saw a dead deer at the bottom, and at the top a shiny metallic surface. There wasn't just a woman or just a deer, but a woman and lines, a deer and metal. They were ants. In the show you have just seen, there are also ants. There are, for example, young people eating Chinese noodles and the video of a dancing woman. Or else, smoke and strange questions. There are ants between different people, between different things. These ants are rather special. They are the same ants we try to produce when we cook or when we combine foods to offer guests. For example, when we offer a chutney of ant and rice beer. These foods that we combine have been chosen, they have been prepared, they have taken us time. In France, no one knows how to prepare ant chutney. But there are cheese made from milk that we leave to harden for months, which also have very strong taste. And with grape juice that ferments like rice, we make wine. There are hundreds of different cheese and wines, each with a different taste. If we wish to combine them, we can't leave it to chance. They must be chosen. My father and I have found a surprising combination. The cheese that we have chosen is called Époisse. It's famous because of its very strong smell and almost liquid consistency. The wine we serve it with is called Nuit Saint-Georges. It's dark red in color and thick in consistency. Just as we pour water 12 hours before serving rice beer, the bottle of wine should be open in the morning for the wine to air until evening. When we taste a spoonful of Époisse, then drink a mouthful of Nuit Saint-Georges, three things happen. We appreciate the bitter taste of the cheese, the dry aroma of the wine, and at that point we discover a third surprising flavor that rises in the middle of the palate, a mild nut taste. This other third flavor is the product of the meeting of the taste of the cheese and the aroma of the wine. It results from their blend. It has nothing to do with the sourish bitterness of the cheese or the prolonged heat of the wine, and it cohabits with them. Here, the and between Epoisses and Nuit Saint-Georges is the taste of a nut. What has happened? There were only two flavors, the cheese, the wine. But when we bring them together, there is a third one, the cheese, the wine, the and between them, the nut taste. Here and now, there is more than what there is. Three things instead of two. It's unexpected. And it's wonderful to discover this, to feel it in one mouth, because the end is felt, we experience it first of all in our flesh. It's a taste in the mouth. It's a sensation in the body.
তাহলে প্রথম মাইক্রোফোন
Fabricating art is seeking to produce through the combinations of chosen differences and sensations that cannot be foreseen. Testing art is seeking to fulfill in the combinations of differences and sensations that we did not expect, that we did not know existed. Art is what invites us, what gives us a desire to feel differently, to feel that here and now there is always more than what there is. To think is to make sense. Sense or meaning does not pre-exist. Sense is made. It is produced. It is produced every time we are touched by a sign, whether we express it or perceive it. Signs are not just verbal. We think with our hands, with the colors we put on canvas or walls. We think when we weave baskets or when we build houses. For meaning to exist, it's phases that a sign emerges. When I say hello to you, a thought is produced. A small thought, nothing very strong, but a thought nonetheless. When we fabricate an institution like Trimukhi, we also think, but the thought is rarer, more difficult. We seek to carry into existence a rather improbable sign. A great work of art, a new religious teaching, a powerful philosophical system, these too are signs. Thinking is nothing but taking part in the movement by which some sign come to be. Everyone thinks, and we think all the time. We think when we move around, when the paths around us in the city or between the fields produce meaning without us having to think about them. Thought is not necessarily conscious. It is not even necessarily human. The meaning that inhabits forest is not in the minds of people. It is outside in the world surrounding them. It makes sense for the tree to take its odd position because it gets more light. Sometimes we are conscious, which only means that we think a thought that thinks itself without us. But there is another meaning to the word thought, a more active meaning. It's when we are taken away within the effort involved for a new sign to emerge, to make its place in the world. This is not necessarily deliberate. Sometimes we don't realize that we're making an effort or that something difficult is in the process of taking place within us. But something new arrives, a new sign. This is rare. Usually we content ourselves with repeating signs and meaning is produced only because contexts vary. The same word, hello, will mean different things depending on the people I address. Sometimes we produce new signs indeed, but they are extensions of signs that already exist. For example, the word uninventable does not really exist, but I can invent it precisely. But this is not a huge invention. There are times, however, when the sign that we produce changes something in the very way signs of the same type are generally produced. For example, when we invent a new political organization, a new poem, a new philosophical thought, a new culinary flavor, a new way of loving or dancing. Thought here is a way of affecting the system of signs in which we live in the strongest form. No confusion should be made between philosophy and this exercise of thought in its strongest form. Arts, sciences, ordinary practices can be equally inventive forms of thought. Philosophy is only one way of thinking.
Saying what it is exactly would take too long tonight, but we can already say what it is not. It is not an attempt to give meaning to the world or to make sense of it all. We shouldn't look for meaning. We should make ourselves open to all these larval signs that line our world more or less confusedly and let them through, let them come. For when just one of them gets through, then what we are calling thinking occurs. And this is celebration, just one sign to go through. Thought is freedom. It frees the formless signs that crawl to the gates of our world. I wish you a very long celebration.